had a couple comments on Facebook that I want to address. Jerome Edwards said he heard this question on the game. A caller asked, will Saban have a 2-quarterback system? And Ryan said that Jalen would get in the game when the score is 35-0. And then Jerome is asking me if I think Jalen is a mop-up quarterback. And my answer, of course, to that is no. Virgil Williams said Ryan is one of those poisonous media guys. He tries to say that he's not biased, but he pushes the Tua train and puts Jalen down in ways that it doesn't look like he is. He will twist people's words when they say something to fit his agenda. I listened to the interview and then listened to him twist it afterwards. So that's comments coming in on Facebook right there. Let me tell you, yeah, I think Jalen, if Jalen's a backup, yeah, he'll be in if it's 35-0. But I also think that Saban's going to find a way to have Jalen as a part of the offense, not just in mop-up duty if he's not the starter. If Tua's the starter, I believe that you'll see Jalen play when the game is still meaningful. But also think if he's the backup, you'll see him getting reps when the game is 35-0, just like you saw Tua do last year. So I don't think that's going to be that big a deal. I think they're going to figure out how to do this. What was it? Was it David Green and DJ Shockley years ago, long before there was even dual threat versus, pocket passing conversation? Georgia figured out how to do that.
Probably 2003 and 2004, folks.
Yeah, DJ Shockley and James, you, of course,
Chris Leak, Tim Tebow.
Yep, Chris Leak and Tim Tebow. Exactly. So when people say you can't do that, that is a great – I totally forgot. I've used that in the past. But talking more about Tua coming in versus Jalen, and I actually think it's easier to have a 2-quarterback system with Tua as the starter and Jalen as the backup than it would be to have Jalen as the starter and Tua as the backup, because we see quarterbacks as what? Passers. And so the guy who passes all the time and who's a more accurate passer, that's the guy that our eyes wants to see. It's sort of like when we watch football, if a team scores a lot of points at X Factor, and it's a lot of points scored in the game by one team or both teams, most people consider that a better game than when the defense shuts down the other team, either one way or the other. We don't consider that as good a football because what we like to see. And that's why if you have a passer the quarterback who's a passer and then he's splitting time with the guy who's the dual threat, it's not as big a deal. And I think that's why. But why do you think that you use that Leak and Tebow? Can that system work at Alabama?
I mean, yeah, I think it can work. I also think it's based off of the guys that you have, and what we saw in the national championship game, I think is plenty enough proof that we have two guys that are very competitive, but they're also friends and can work together. Yeah, I mean, it's almost the David Green, DJ Shockley thing is the best example of seeing how both those guys were a year apart, even though it was Green that was the older of the two, and the way that they were able to come in and out and switch, that based off of just the age relationship, but the skill set relationship would probably be the Leak Tebow, because Leak could move a little bit, but he wasn't as athletic as Tebow. He wasn't as big or as physical as Tebow, and Tebow could throw it a little bit. So that's probably the best comparison, and I think Jalen is as good or if not better as a passer as Tebow was. And Tebow gets the real bad knock. He wasn't that inaccurate in college. He was actually pretty good at throwing the ball in college. So I think looking at it, yeah, it can be done. It's just, you know, if it's wanted to be done.
Yeah, and I think Saban in his comments have made it sound to me like he wants to figure out how to get both of these guys on the field. One other wrinkle I would throw in there, I would not be surprised if they didn't take even the Hines Ward approach some with Jalen. The reason I say that is Josh Gaddis came from Penn State, the wide receiver coach. Penn State's backup quarterback last year.
Oh, yeah, Tommy Stevens.
Yeah, huh?
Tommy Stevens.
Yeah, he ran some wide receiver last year with Josh Gaddis's help. He was able to both be prepared to be the backup quarterback as well as be the guy who ran some routes and helped the team out and gave an extra dimension and threat from the wide receiver position, because anytime they threw it to him, there was an opportunity that he may turn around and throw it again. So, but I think Barry Sanders yesterday hit a great point, and let me get your thoughts on it. He says, you know, all these people saying they should just move Jalen to quarterback. Are they saying that they'd rather have Mac Jones as the backup? Because if you move Jalen, just move him to a position, he's not getting reps.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not getting reps. So, and that's definitely not what Nick Saban wants. I'll get your thoughts on this as we get ready to go to break. I don't think this situation has ever existed. I know a lot of people say, well, Alabama has two backup quarterbacks. Yeah, we're not the first team to have two backup quarterbacks, but do you think there's ever been a team potentially going into a season with a quarterback of the projected potential of Tua? Because we don't know how good Tua really can be over 15 games. We saw, and if you extrapolate, you expect him to be really good. But we know that Jalen has led the team to 26 wins. How many backup quarterbacks have won 26 games in college, in the SEC, and played in 2 national championship games? That just doesn't exist. And I think that's what makes this situation unique. Thoughts?
Oh, definitely. The fact that you had a guy come in when your starter struggled, you had the backup come in and was able to win the game in a national championship setting. But at the same time, if he's going to be your starter, your backup now is the guy that got you to 2 national championship games and would have won. You would have won both of them if the defense makes one stop. So it's a conundrum that I don't know if has ever been seen before at the collegiate level. Like you can kind of compare it to the Philadelphia Eagles this year.
Yeah,
you had Carson Wentz that was having an MVP caliber season, tears his ACL, and then Nick Foles comes in and is a Super Bowl winning quarterback. Yeah,
that is another great one, because Carson Wentz was clearly the more prolific passer, MVP, pro style, all world quarterback. But when Foles came in, all he did was proceed to take his team straight to the Super Bowl. I hope that if Tua's the starter, I hope he doesn't get hurt. If Jalen's the starter, I hope he doesn't get hurt. But what a luxury Nick Saban has in the fact that he he has 2 guys that I think could lead this team to a national championship. And I think that's about the only way. But it's pretty amazing situation and scenario that Nick Saban has in the quarterback scenario. Hey, you listen to the Blitz on Top 102.9. I'm Martin Houston.